right. So first, let me thank you again for staying for the Pastor Chats. I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating. When I first started doing this in 2019, my first year here, I thought, they're going to come, a lot of them, for a couple of these, and then they're going to quit coming. And you haven't. So I'm always surprised, I think, that you stay. And I take it 5 years into it that this is how interested you are in our church and how much it means to you. It speaks faithfulness to me, and it speaks to me that you are committed and you are in it, all in it. And I so appreciate that. It really sends a message to me that's so very much appreciated. So as we start this, I think we should have a word of prayer. Holy One, we love the ways that you seek us out, and we love the ways that you hang out with us. We love the ways that you speak truth to us. We love the ways that you love us. And so it is in that spirit that we also do the business of the church. It's in that spirit that we think about all the ways that you can continue to use us differently and in greater ways. And so as we chat together today, I pray that you will just open our hearts to each other, help us to listen and to listen with our hearts, and to listen especially to you. May it be so. Amen. How are we doing back there?
Very close.
Okay. They had to reboot the system to stream online so that people could join us who are not here in the room. So, all right. So today I want to put on the screens, if we could push those forward one, like the things that I want to go over with you. But what I'm going to do in between each of these is to stop so that you have questions. Remember that part of the purpose of Pastor Chats is for me to have periods throughout the year that I get to share information with you that you wouldn't otherwise really get, and also to hear from you about those things. And so please don't hesitate to speak up. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I will welcome them always, and I certainly want to hear from you. For those of you who may not be accustomed to a congregational system, this is part of what it means, is that the congregation always has the last word. The congregation is always the bigger voice. And so I work for you, and so I always want to hear from you. So we're going to go over these things. First of all, the result of our end of year 2023, all of our financial results. So we have closed our books, so I can share some of those things with you. Then to look at the first month of our financial information for 2024, to give you a pledge campaign update and some staffing updates. And then I have two special announcements that we will end with, okay? So we will end on a high, I promise, okay? All right. Okay, so for our 2023 end-of-year financial statements, I hope you can mostly see this, but I will speak it so that if you're having trouble seeing it, you will hear it at least. So our 2023 budget income was set for $306,895. There it is. Okay. Our actual income for 2023 was $343,575.08.05, which means that we ended the year in the green by $36,683. So our income was almost 12% higher than we budgeted for. So that is really good news, and another testament to the generosity of this congregation. I want to remind you that while we were over in our income versus the budget for 2023, we also gave away $60,000 in cash. So not only were we over to meet just our operating income, but we gave away that much cash. You know, we're a fairly small church. That is a mighty church that can do that. I'm just so proud of you. It's amazing. Our expense budget for 2023 was $343,285. Our actual was $334,035.18, so we were $9,200 below our expenses, so we were 2.6% lower than our budgeted expenses. So I hope that you celebrate that we managed our expenses and we went over our income, so this is really good news. You also, at least most of you know, that we have a music investment that we've been doing for our music program. We had budgeted last year to spend $68,425. We did not quite spend that much. We only spent $46,000, and so we have $22,000-ish that is left in addition to the rest of the money, but that's lower than we had planned for. So, a really good financial picture for 2023, and I hope you feel really, really good about where we are financially. And this is the most important measure of our health. You know, it's like, it's really good that we do all these other things, but that we can finance ourselves is a really, really good measurement of health and vitality. So I feel really good about that. Any questions about this? Yes. Wait. She's coming.
On the music proposal, did that, in that was the sound system improvements? Was that part of that expense in there?
It was.
To help with that?
Sure
Great.
That
It's
it
wonderful.
includes any equipment and stuff we bought. It also includes the people that we pay in the music program, the stipends we pay in the music program as well. Yeah. So it just gives us a little bit more of that to work with this year. So we just didn't spend quite all of it that we budgeted for last year. Other questions about this? If you had a question, what would it be?
What are you going to do with the savings?
The question from the back of the room was...
The question is, what are you going to do with the savings? I'm actually getting to that, so if we can wait, that would be helpful, all right, but in terms of looking at 2024. All right, any other questions about this? All right, okay, let's go on to the next slide if we could. And a pledge update. So the total amount that we had pledged for 2024 was almost $230,000. We know that over a 5-year period, our average of non-pledged cash is $42,000. So this is the money that people give who don't fill out a pledge card, but they still give, or the random people that come and put money in the offering plate. That is what non-pledged cash is. Our average over 5 years is $42,000. That seems like a safe thing for us to count on. And so that puts our total at $271,964. The total we budgeted for plate offering. Remember, that's plate offering. Those are our tithes and offerings, not other income, just our tithes and offerings. It was $275,000. That's the budget we voted on. So we are short in our pledging by $3,036, $58 a week more than we have committed. All right, so do y'all think that's doable? I think we can make that up, and I'm counting on you all to continue to be faithful and to help us in that regard. All right, any questions about this?
I have a clarifying question on the $58 a week. Can you explain that number?
That $3,036 divided by 52 is $58 a week.
Great.
So that's what we would have to do more per week than is currently pledged and accounted for. All right, any other clarifying questions? All right. Okay, that was easy. All right. Okay, for January. So our actual plate offering that we took in January was $17,077.20. Our budget was $21,153.84. So we were short $4,000, almost $4,100 in January. Now, a couple of things about that. First, you may have noticed we had a pretty slow start to January. We had a lot of illness. We had a lot of things going on, so I think that's in the mix. The other thing is that it's January. We start out with a 5-Sunday month. And we almost always fall short of our budget on 5 Sunday months. It's very rare for us to meet our budget. However, I don't want that to be an excuse for us because we committed to this budget. We committed to this amount. So we need to make sure that we are continuing to be faithful. So for those of you who pledged, if you've gotten behind already, if you could catch up or just be more mindful, that would be very helpful. Any questions about this? So this is just plate offering. This is not all of our income. I'm getting to that. But this is just the tithes and offerings part. Okay, we can go on. All right, so this is our January total income and expense. So our actual budget for income was $31,970.47. Our budget was $32,199. All right, so our variance is that we were about $230 off for the whole of January. All right, so I think all in all, not too bad. That overall, we still did pretty well in January and did not fall too far behind overall. Okay? Any questions about that? What? What was that?
Very quiet crowd today.
Yeah, really. You all better not leave here and talk behind my back. You got something to say? Now let's say it. Yeah, let's say it. Okay. All right. I guess we can move on. All right. So as you all know, we've had a couple of staff transitions, actually. So Amber's departure was one, and of course, onboarding JT at the beginning of February. So we've had a lot of busy activity in the office trying to make these transitions. I just wanted to say a special thank you to the people you see on the screen, Doug Berger, Bob Terra, Barb Crabtree, and our office angels for helping us through this time. So to have a new person and then be down a person administratively is certainly, a lot. I want to thank Doug for being in the office really every day since the beginning of January, helping us go through files, helping us figure out all of our administrative stuff. And I think we're actually in pretty good shape, but I appreciate his commitment to making sure that we get all that done. Bob Terra has been very helpful because he knows church windows better than anybody on the planet, and so he has been our consultant in that way. Barb Crabtree, who is actually on our payroll, but she came here. She lives in Austin, and she came here for 2 weeks to be in the office and help us get sorted out and making sure we were clear on all things financial. And so I appreciate that. And those of you who've come in to help with projects or you've come in to help us answer the phone, all of those things they're always helpful, but right now they're really helpful. So if there are any of you who have some time and you could do some of those things to help us right now, it would really, really be appreciated. All right, so please thank them. Okay, we can move on. So our staffing updates, we onboarded JT starting in February, so we've had him busy learning all things in the back office and what's happening behind the scenes. Obviously, JT has been at Church of the Trinity for quite a while, so it's not all new news to him. And he has stepped into it with a lot of grace, as much, and we would have expected nothing less. We are having our staff retreat this week, and so we will come out of that with some real clear next steps for him. And he's already working on where the places he's going to be in the community and how he's going to find young adults and be with them and listen to them. And so we'll look forward to hearing from him over the next few months about that. With regard to Amber's departure as our Director of Administration, we will not be filling that position before April 1st. Now that is largely because with transition expense, we need to not do that until April so that we can keep all of our financial things even and steady. And so the truth is, it's going to take us that long anyway. But the update I wanted to give you is that JT and Reverend Collis and I, and also Barb Crabtree, have been spending some time thinking about what exactly do we need in that position. You know, like when we think about our team and the different gifts and skills we bring to it, what's missing? And so what does that position need to look like? So this does give us that opportunity to work on that. I think that the job description is almost finished and done, and so we will be putting it out in the next couple of weeks. Okay? If you have any suggestions about people who might be interested in the job once you see the description, please let me know right away. Okay? So I feel good about where we are with that. Any questions about new positions, about JT, about any of the transition piece? Hopefully you haven't felt it much. We felt it. Maybe you didn't. Wait, let the microphone come so everybody can hear.
I just have one quick question. My donation is withdrawn from my account. Mm-hmm. Will that go as planned? I mean, that's supposed to be changed in April, in January. Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm asking is, if I don't pay up, will you tell me?
Yes, ma'am. We will. We are trying to double check that. So it's a good question about if you have automatic withdrawals for your tithe payment, is making sure. We think that they're all had already been put into the system with the changes for the new year, but we are double checking them, and so it's a very good question. So if it looks like when you get your records that we have not taken out enough money, or if we look at your records and it looks like we haven't taken out enough money, we'll let you know, okay? Fair enough. All right, good deal.
I have, if one wanted to come and be an office angel, Reverend Lily, mm-hmm. what type of things would you want people to be doing, and what kind of time commitment would you be looking for?
All right, so we do have the sort of mundane pieces of answering the phone, being there when people drop by. You'd be surprised how many people just kind of drop by. People who may be coming for an appointment to sort of greet them and have them be there. Those are all things that are very helpful, and those happen every single day, right? So anything from 2 hours to 4 hours would be a really great bit of time for you to give us. We also have things that come up like the devotion cards that you pick up today, all right? They had to be printed and cut, and then they had to be put in those little packages. And so it's a short-term commitment, but it's a lot of cutting, right? Debbie came and did a bunch of them. Marcy did a bunch of them. All the staff, we took our turns doing them, but that's really helpful to us. So it's a project, sort of a project. It's a short-term thing. And any of those kinds of offerings of your time would be really helpful. Am I missing anything, Reverend Collis? Right, okay. And when we come up on these special times of year, when we have program launches, when we have something big like Easter or Lent, or, we do a lot of things all year. And usually leading into those, we have a lot of extra work. And so those are times when we could really use you. So if you could come and do phone answering, greeting people, and be here for 2 to 4 hours, let us know that. If you could be available to do special projects, let us know that. And that would be very helpful. Okay? All right. Anything else about transition? All right. That was quick. All right. So before we go on to the 2 big announcements, let me stop and take a minute to just ask all of you how you are feeling. We took a big leap of faith in our budget this year. And the big part of that leap was to say we were going to commit to young adults, right? That we were going to do what we need to do, hire somebody full-time to focus on it, hire a young person to focus on it, make sure that he is visible on Sunday so when younger people come, they see themselves. I mean, we stepped out, way out there in order to do this. So I just want to check in with you. How are you feeling about us doing that? We're early. It's early in the year. But what do you think? How are you feeling? Don't leave here and talk about it. Please talk about it right here. Thumbs up. Okay, thank you. Mari? Wait.
Hello. JT, I'd love to hear from you what you're noticing so far. I saw a post of you on, I think it was Instagram, or no, it was TikTok. Right, so I was like, there he's going. So.
Yep.
Absolutely. So there's a lot that we are talking about right now, and the staff retreat will give us a lot more clarity around that. Reverend Collins and I have been working on how we might get our media up to par. Something that we have talked about denominationally in my polity classes, MCC still seems to be the best kept secret, and we need to change that. People need to see that we're visible, that what we're doing in this room, but really they need to see what we're doing beyond this room, is what I'm seeing. Jorge and I went to the SRQ kickball pickup game, and I got to talk with a lot of people that way. He played, he injured himself. I did not play. But I did get to talk with people. I don't do kickball. I'm the cheerleader, so I will get my pom-poms and go with him. But just finding young people where they are, because they're not coming here, so we have to go to them. So that's going to be the big thing. So looking at things like kickball, looking at our media, making sure that young people are represented in the media, that we're using the media that young people connect with. It's all well and good to have a big e-blast, but maybe that's not the way that young people want to do. So it's going to be a lot of conversations, and it's going to also be conversations of what do you want your spiritual life to look like? Because we might need to be prepared that it might not be in this room that they want to come and do. They may want to come to Theology on Tap. They may want, to be able to come to a young person and talk about spirituality, but maybe a church service isn't right for them. Or maybe if we start a podcast, they would be more willing to listen to a podcast about spirituality from Reverend Lily, Reverend Collis, and myself. So the possibilities are endless. First step is getting to the young people, letting them know that we exist, and figuring out how they want to be involved in it. Is that clear?
Okay, so I feel like as the person who is closer to the age of most people in this room, we need to, be aware that we will have adjustments to make as well as we try to speak to what younger generations need spiritually. You can almost be certain it's not what we need. It's not the same. And so we're going to have to probably be uncomfortable sometimes, and we're going to have to step aside and allow some of that to happen. Some of you who grew up in the church, can you remember when you were a young person and people who have the same color hair as you do now didn't like what the young people wanted to do? You remember that? This seems to be something that keeps repeating itself, right? And we have become the people who didn't like what we were doing. We have become them. God forbid. So let's start getting ourselves ready too, okay? Because that has to be our number one focus, because I trust that those of you who have the same color hair I do want Church of the Trinity and MCC to be around long after we're gone. And so that's not going to happen if we do only what we like and only what works for us, all right? So I need y'all to start getting ready, all right? All right. And we're going to do this work together. Yes? Hang on. Hang on.
I have this idea, well, a couple ideas. I wrote it down, like, Minecraft is a really big thing. And it's also don't laugh. It's also educational. Like, you can code in it. There's creative mode and survival mode. Kids love it. Some adults love it. It's the big thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you would gather a lot of people. Also, drones are really cool. Drones are really cool. You know, and you would draw a lot of people in. You know,
Can I
just having
broadcast a sermon
gathering.
from a drone? I wonder if I could do that.
Flying. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You might. Well, it might not seem spiritual, but the gathering could end up
Right.
where you
Yep.
end up with
Yep.
discussions and stuff.
Yep.
But you're gonna get people and people in their 40s and younger, you know,
Right.
instead of 60 and over.
Right. Right. Yeah. We know who we are. We know who we are. Right. Thank you, Donna, and thank you for writing it down, so we'll have a chance to look at it. Susan?
Well, as a lot of you know, Fuzzy and I, we go to our little sci-fi convention every year. And most of the people that are there are a lot younger than us. And I can't tell you how energized we feel when we're around those people, because those young people just, I don't know, it just renews you. So, you know, that's the thing. When you get young people in here, you're going to feel that energy.
True.
And we need that energy.
Maybe we need a sci-fi convention bus that's headed to Atlanta, right? It's
That's
Atlanta,
right.
yeah.
That's right. But anyway, I just want to say that, you know, because
Yeah.
when we get young people in here, we're going to feel energized, and it's going to make us feel younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're already feeling that with some children and with Trinity, our little baby, yeah. And Olivia back there, she gives us lots of blessing. Yeah, right.
I have a couple of things from online. A couple of suggestions that we can consider as younger homeless people and a safe place for anyone to tell their stories. But we had one question. JT, I think this is a good one for you. When we say young people, how are we classifying young people, like age range?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the target that we're looking at is 20s, 30s, and 40s. I would probably argue that even 50s might be a little young here.
That's right.
With that, however, does come young families. I mean, we already have Delia and Julia who bless us with all of their children, and I know Stacy brings her daughter a lot too. So we're going to have to grow in that way. But first step is getting them here and then figuring out how we might develop children's ministry, stuff like that. My focus primarily in the beginning will be 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then, of course, it will stretch because it's a church. It's nonprofit life. It always stretches.
That's right. That's right. Good questions. That's it from the online group? Okay. Stacy?
Okay, so I held a couple people hostage in a van all the way up to Tallahassee.
Right.
And I was giving my ideas about how to bring young people into the church. And, you know, one of the things, and what JT had just said about, you know, what are young people, right? And one of the ways to bring young people in is to bring their parents in, right? Not necessarily their grandparents, we all love you. But, and there's a lot of people like me that are out there that are single parents. And, you know, going to some of the mammoth churches in the area can be very daunting if you're a single parent.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that would be a wonderful way to kind of bring other people in. The other thing is like just even partnering with some other friendly churches Like we had
Yeah.
that workshop last Sunday.
Last Sunday. Mhm.
Which it would be so wonderful to have singles mingles or something like that we could do
Oh,
together. So, okay, that's it.
He's taking notes. I can see him taking notes. That's good. That's good. That's good. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. I hear, yes. All right. Anything else about this particular piece? Oh, Jana Lee.
Like you mentioned, Susan, you feel revitalized being around young people. And a way to feel that is to volunteer at M.E. Booker, you know?
Yeah.
The color run coming up, or the Friday events that they have every week. That's a way to really feel great being around kids without having to raise them, okay? So keep that in mind. I know it's a little intimidating to think about signing up, but it's not that hard online. If you have any problem, ask Letitia. And you don't have to commit to certain, well, obviously the color run you do, but for but for the one on Fridays, you don't have to commit for certain Fridays or every Friday. So, but it really feels good to be around these young kids.
Yep.
I just want to piggyback there just because Jana Lee stood up and she's really big in our social justice ministry. To give you a little background about young people, many of us feel like we have inherited a world that is falling apart. You know, we've got this planet that if we don't do anything about it, we're not going to have a world to live in, and we're running out of time. We have legislators in this state. We just had a group on Monday who Stacy held hostage. Went up to Tallahassee. You know, I know that not everyone's going to march in a parade. I know that not everyone's going to be a part of it, but we have to be serious about justice work because that's what young people are pulled to right now. We have to be. You know, we have no other choice. If we want a world to live in, we have to be committed to justice. And so a way to bring young people into our world is to say like, hey, we're committed to it. We're doing it as a church. Looks like a lot of different things. It's accessible to you in many different ways because of technology, but social justice has to be a big piece of what we do. Okay?
Yes.
So I am on the fundraising committee with a bunch of other folks, and we have been talking about how we can incorporate some activities, perhaps a fundraising activity that could incorporate families and children. And I just, we have a wonderful piece of property here, and we have, I think, an opportunity to hold a special event or whatever that might look like. So if you have any ideas, we've talked about doing maybe a October fall festival of some sort where we bring families to the property and we do apple picking and all kinds of fun things that we do. But if you have any ideas, we would be really, really grateful because we do have a great piece of property that we should take advantage of in a good way.
Yes. Thanks, Marlene.
JT, you might think about getting in touch with the LGBT clubs in the various high schools. I know that when I was working with Also Youth and we tried to get into Sarasota High School, the principal there told me that they didn't have any gay students at the Sarasota High School.
Because they're not allowed to say so.
Yeah, so that might be a connection.
Yeah. I don't think they're allowed, but unless they're underground. There's some underground ones, I think, but yeah. All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay, so financially, how are you all feeling? You know, we took a big leap here, and so how are you feeling about that?
We're doing well now. It's awesome.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch. Yeah. All right.
You talked about the 42,000 average over 5 years. You have to remember that 2 of those years were COVID years, and then some of the other years were up in the 70,000. So
Yeah. So the average includes
The
the
average was
COVID
42,
years.
but
Yeah, yeah.
this is not a COVID
yeah.
year, so we hope to do more than 42.
The average of non-pledge giving is what he's talking about. The average also includes that as more people pledge, then there's less non-pledged giving. So that's also factored in, all right? So I think we're still in a good place.
I'm not worried about it because you give us the challenges a lot and
You step up. You do.
Yeah.
Say it. Yep, that's the truth. All right, so Marilyn asked a question earlier, so I want to make sure that I cover that. So we had a surplus at the end of the year, but you're going to have to stick with me here, okay, in order to kind of understand this. So it was about $36,000 surplus. In December, we got a big jump because of the gala. All right, we took in about $46,000, all right, for the gala. And they thought it couldn't be done. Look at us. Look at us. So that meant that's part, I mean, because fundraising in our budget was a big number divided by 12. So we kept being behind because we didn't have a fundraiser till the very end of the year. So that really bumped us up, and we were over in our plate offering. It was higher than we budgeted, so we had a good bump at the end of the year. We also lost our administrator and had some transition expenses, right? So that meant the surplus from 2023 gave us the cash to deal with the transition stuff that we had to deal with, okay? So we will not see that look like a surplus until the next couple of months, but we've already paid for it. We were able to pay for it because we had that extra cash. Y'all following me here? So that's why we're going to wait till April, but we will recover that. The other thing that happened is that because we took in $46,000 at the gala, our tithes to the denomination were twice as big as they usually are. So we had to use some of that surplus to pay that in January, okay, because December tithes to the denomination are due in January. So, you know, we had a couple of things that is just really good we had the cash for, and so we're not feeling anything too strenuous around that. And we will make up for it over the next couple of months because those things have already been paid for, okay? Does that make sense? All right. And I think, Marilyn, to answer your question, given our stretch, it's good that we'll have some of these extra dollars for us to just, you know, have as a buffer, and that'll be good. That does not mean you can't meet your pledge, right? So I don't want to say that too much, you know. Buffers are good, but they're not an excuse for us not to do what we committed to do. All right. Okay, y'all ready for the two big announcements, and then we can go to lunch. All right. So first of all, you may have noticed at the gala in December that we had a professional photographer here who was taking a godzillion pictures. So the gala photos are ready. So what's going to happen in the next week is that everyone who came to the gala, you'll be getting an email with a link that will take you to all of the photographs, all right? So feel free to enjoy them, to download them, print them, do whatever you'd like to do with them. They're just wonderful pictures of all kinds. I mean, there's like 1,000 pictures. It's a lot. But anyway, you'll have access to those. So look in your email. Be aware that those are coming if you attended the gala, okay? Any questions about that? Yes.
Will we be able to purchase them?
You can have them. They've been purchased already. So this was like a perk of coming to the gala, is that the photographs were already paid for. We paid the photographer. That's one of the things that the proceeds paid for. Any other questions about that? All right. Okay. Now, the next piece is that some of you know that well, as long as I've been here, and I think it precedes me, so more than 5 years, we've had a piece of the land that we own up for sale. And it is sort of beyond the brush tree line that you can see over on this side of the property. A fair amount of that acreage is swampland, okay? And about 4 or 5 acres of it is buildable. And so we've had it for sale. And we started at $750,000. That's what it was when I came here to be your pastor. We've moved it down to $500,000. I believe since I've been here anyway, we've had 6 different offers on this land. What has happened is that they start to get into the minutia of it and end up bailing out, because it's pretty expensive to deal with all the things that have to be done to make that land buildable. All right. So the last time we got an offer, it was for $350,000. We thought we'd be lucky if we got that, but that deal also fell through. In November, we got another offer of $850,000 for this land. And there are a couple of big differences that I think are promising. Now, we're not going to count our chickens before they hatch, but there's some promise here that hasn't been here before. One thing is that occasionally the state of Florida will issue mitigation credits. That means that construction companies and the like can buy these credits from the state of Florida as a way of mitigating all the land that they've taken up by their building. And so our swampland is great mitigation land. It's like to say we will preserve these kinds of lands and not build on them, and we'll pay for that because we've messed up a whole lot of other places building. All right, that's kind of the bottom line. But those credits only come every now and then. Recently, the state of Florida has released some of those mitigation credits. So the company that made this offer is a builder. So it's not an individual, it's a builder, a company. And they were really anxious to get these credits. So that's one big motivator for them, is that they're anxious to get the mitigation credits. The second thing that's more promising is that it is a bigger company, and so they have the money to do what's necessary on the property in order for it to be useful to the things they want to do, all right? So mostly we've had either very small corporations or we've had individuals who have put in offers before, so this is decidedly different in that regard. We are about 4 months in, and they are still very engaged and very much in pursuit of this property. So we are further along than we've ever been. We've gotten past some of the places where other people have bailed out, so we are much further along than we have been. Obviously, $850,000 to us would be amazing, right? And so, you know, pray on this. These commercial property is a long runway, all right? So it could take another year before anything would actually come to fruition. But I'm feeling like it's very promising that they're still in it and still in pursuit. This last week we had surveyors here all week, all over the property, surveying all kinds of things. So that's a good sign that they are still very much in it. So I just wanted to let you know that, because, you know, we all need to be, I think, just in prayer about that, and also start dreaming a little bit. Right? I mean, that would give us some ways to do things we couldn't ever think of doing, right? And so what would that be? So be thinking about the ways that, you know, look what God can do, right? So the things we least expect. So we have to keep working to do our part, and we'll see what all God does among us, right? Mm-hmm. All right, any questions about the land? I know it's kind of a quick overview, but just want to keep you in the loop. Any questions about it? Yes.
My question is, has this company expressed what they're thinking of doing with 5 acres?
Do it so that the online
Yeah,
people...
so the question was, has this company expressed what they're thinking about doing with the 5 acres?
They have. They want to build, I think, about a 20-unit apartment complex there. If you drive down to Whitfield right now, at that intersection, there's a big new apartment complex that's gone up there. This would be much smaller than that, but that's what they have in mind to do. they've also been really kind to want to work with the church. I mean, I have really appreciated the main guy who has not only spoken with our realtor, but with us, and he you know how you just kind of know sometimes when people are trying to pull one over on you and when they're really genuine. He does seem, you know what you know, right, Cheryl? And he seems really genuine in his desire that the church feel good about this, and whatever kinds of things we end up doing. So I appreciate, so far, I really appreciate how they've been. Yes? What?
Could you repeat that for me?
Do we keep the swampland?
No, that's what they get mitigation credits for. That's what is that they buy this land, and then they buy these credits, which says to the state of Florida, we're willing to pay because we have taken up so many other kinds of land with our building, and this helps to mitigate all the other building they've done and land they've taken. No, well, nobody can. I mean, you can't build on it anyway. I mean, it's not really buildable.
Pastor,
but it will be part of the purchase, though. They have to purchase it in order to get the mitigation credits.
Pastor, does that mean that it's no longer a sale of that small portion, but of the entirety of the land that we have?
It's always been the entire thing.
Oh, okay.
It's just that the smaller portion is what you can build on.
I see. Because my
But it's always been all of
just
it.
a small part.
Yeah,
That was
it's always been all of it. And that's a distinctly different thing about this time, is that in buying all of it, they actually get a benefit because of the mitigation credit. Bob?
You're going to get your steps in.
Look here, we got
Look at
somebody
him.
running around. That's good.
Just so we're aware of, the parcel itself starts north of all that bush stuff.
Right, right.
So we retain up until all the bush starts.
Right.
So this is all going to remain property of the church.
It does not hurt anything that we can see or that we are doing now. Well, I believe that, as I understand it, they will be required, not by us, although we might require it if we had to, but by law, to put up some kind of like tree line that would be between us and whatever it is that they build, So this is one of the things that the guy is really anxious to do in terms of wanting to do something that we feel good about. Yeah. And we need to remember that if we sell that property, well, first of all, it doesn't look like we're going to use it. So right. If we sell that property, then what has been happening all around us may happen there, right? I mean, we can't really forever stop that if we want to sell it, right? So, yeah. Any other questions about the property? Jim?
Is the extra 40 feet that he's looking for something for further discussion?
Yeah, that's something that the board needs to discuss, yeah. All right.
Well, I'm going to take a moment of junior pastor privilege right now. Marcy, if you would come up here for just a minute, and you can just slide this on out of the way. I know you hate it when I do this.
She starts bossing me around.
I know. Well, today
it's
we
really
celebrated.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, we celebrated your anniversary today, and we want to send you out of here with a blessing for the next part of your ministry. And a part of that is Marcy, and we want to include her because that is an important part of who you are in your ministry here in this church.
Yes.
So if you will, I'm not going to bless her long because she's got plenty, but we're going to extend our hands. God, we thank you and praise you for Lily Brock, for her coming here to Church of the Trinity and giving all that she has for you and for this body of believers. I ask that you will bless her on the next phase of her journey as we've celebrated 5 years today. Order her steps.
Yes, please.
Every one of them, and let her pivot when she needs to. God, we thank you and we praise you for her leadership, for her care and her love. And we look forward to the many blessings that you're going to continue to bestow on her and on us under her leadership. And God, we thank you so much for Marcy. Marcy, who stands beside her and oftentimes is the one who's supporting behind her, and we don't even know it.
Yes.
Help them minister together in the way that you have called them both to do. And help this next phase of ministry be revealing for both of them. God, we thank you and praise you for both of them. In all of your many names and in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Collis. Thank you all. Thanks, all of you. If the board could meet with me right down here for about 5 minutes, I would appreciate that. And I think the rest of you are free to go. All right, a couple of things we need to remind you about. First of all, the cards for us to take with us on staff retreat. It seems like not many people did that, so please do that. And they're on the big blue table out there. You actually can't miss it unless you mean to. The other thing is that the table for the two things Letitia talked about, she's back there by it for the color run and also for the trolley ride in Newtown. So please go back there. It seems there was some confusion. So do that before you go. Thanks.